Hello there. Would you be so kind to take
Testy, 1, 2.
Brilliant. You've done that before, right?
Yeah. How's everybody doing? Oh, no, 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 no. Okay, let's try one more time. How's everybody doing? All right, come on now.
So, with the lack of voice, I guess I need to refrain at least to play some music to give a little bit context about your upbringing. Could you also tell us where about that was and how something like a bit of Creole church singing would come into this?
Born and raised in Oakland, California. And my dad is a percussionist, Pete Escovedo, still plays. Mexican and Indian. And my mom is Creole from New Orleans. So it's a little bit of Mexican tacos and Creole gumbo mixed together.
Sounds tasty.
It's very good. Yeah, a little bit of everything together, which is, I think, a great combination.
It's relatively hard to find good and authentic recordings of Creole singing. And I guess when you listen to some of that, you do actually get a bit of more context. And I would like to play something, and maybe you could elaborate after we played it, like what's going on there and like rhythmically.
Sure, I'll try.
So it looked like you were, I don't know whether you're feeling the rhythm or imagining it, or whether you were just looking at the drums. But it's like,
No, I was. They started building. There were patterns that were happening, and it started very simple to then another percussion instrument coming with a. I hear my snare talking. Hold on. Okay. But there's other patterns started happening. There was conga, then there was shekere, then there bells, and then someone was singing. So we could. It just started building. Then I started hearing it. Then I started visualizing it. And in order for me, I learned by watching and listening to people play. So in my mind, I started to get into it, and I started visualizing. And I said, well, wait a minute. What if I see the class doing the same thing? We could play that rhythm right now. And so I started looking around going, who's going to play what? Okay, let's see. How do we do that? And then I visualized it. I was like, oh, here we go. So for me, when I first started watching my dad play, he was in front of me just like I am in front of you. And he set up playing congas as a right-handed player. And so anything that his right hand would do, my left hand would do. And then when he got off the congas, I went to play. Even though it was set up as right-handed, I was playing left-handed because I was looking at a mirror. So if you played something, I would try to emulate what you played, but it's going to look different. So right now I was listening to that, then I visualized, what if the class did this? So can we try something?
Okay. Sure. I mean, it's a different kind of worship and it's a different kind of rhythm. And if your kind of worship is the Johann Sebastian Bach kind of thing, there is a scary prospect about this being a pretty happy church, it sounds. But yeah, let's try it.
Yeah, because it's everybody has rhythm, And so I just want to try some, and I'll have you like start it and stop it just so I can hear it to say, what did they play? So the middle section right here, you're just gonna do, they'll go, This is you, right here. This is you. You too. Listen to them. Don't rush. You got, keep playing. You hear the melody? We're gonna get versatile with this. Just keep playing. Keep playing. This section. Da 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 da. Sing and play. Here we go. Da 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 da. Keep going. You have the easiest part, by the way. Da 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 da. Keep going. Da 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 da. Let's do that. Da 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 da. Come on. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Really? Da 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 da. Keep playing. Stop that. Keep going. Go ahead. Nice. Keep going. That's nice. Keep going. What happened to your part? This side, you guys suck, man. Come on. All right, that's it. Give yourselves a hand. That was really good. The thing is listening to that, you start hearing pattern, you start hearing beats, and then all of a sudden you just want to kind of get into it. And then once you get into it, there's a feel thing happening. And we stopped that just so you can hear yourselves. And it took a second. And once you got into it, it sounded great, you know. That's the part of my career that my dad taught me. Is to go ahead and try things that you've never done before as far as playing, and not playing inside the box, but thinking outside the box. You know, figuring out ways to, if it feels good and it, you know, you're getting into it. I mean, that it's infectious. Like you're having a great time and I'm watching you play. That's important. If I see you into it, I'm going to get into it too, you know. So that's why it took me a minute. I was listening to that, learning it. We didn't do it exactly the same, but the feel of it, it felt good. And like I said, visualizing and getting into it is just really important. Every time I play, it's like, that's your phone. It's like the very first time that I've ever played. I do that every single time I played. And that's why I wanted to become a musician and artist at 15 years old. That first time I played with my dad, like for real with his band, I just went, wow, I want to feel like this every single day. That feels so amazing, you know, and I just wanted to do this every single day. So when you, as musicians and artists and whatever you want to do, you got to be into it. You really got to know that your heart knows that this is what you want to do. It's got to feel really good. I mean, I'm still doing this, and after 41 years. And every year or every day even, it seems like this is the first time I've ever played. You know, I got excited when I started hearing you play. I mean, it's just fun. Enjoy yourselves, you know, learn, stretch, you know, think outside the box, you know, try different ways of either playing your guitar, different pedals, you know, using different picks, different fingering, drummers, you know, different pads, different mics, you know, incorporate using, you know, electronic equipment, your iPads, your laptops with things that you can program and play on top of it. I mean, there's no one says that you have to do it a certain way. And this is where we look up to you guys, the future, now, and bringing things that are new and different. We're looking for that. We want that. We don't want the same old thing. Music's got to change as we do as people. As we change in our life and we go through things, our music's going to change. The way we write, the way we feel music, how we hear it, things are going to change. You're going to evolve. You'll start looking at things differently and realizing, well, maybe I didn't want to play it this way. I want to play this kind of music now, you know? No one says that it has to be just this way. You just have to know in your heart that this is what you want to do. And there'll be a lot of no's. I still get no's. Can I go through that door? No. Okay, I'm going to come through the window. Just figure it out. No means opportunity. No means opportunity. Doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means figure out another way.
Amen. Well, and just for the record, none of this was rehearsed. So that's probably also a true sign of a performer, like being put on the spot and just, oh yeah, I can deal with this.
Yeah, that's the fun part. I like being spontaneous, especially on stage and playing and, getting out there. And it's like, it's your time to create, And if you're really true to your heart and what you're doing, and you don't think about it when you start creating spontaneous and taking us on a journey, you're doing that from your heart. There's no thinking. You're going to take us somewhere, And that's important. People start overthinking things and making sure they have to do it correct. I'd rather have something being recorded or played or sung that's not perfect, but has heart. I'd take that any day. And plus, we're not ever going to be perfect. We just got to figure it out. But, you just got to keep doing it, keep pursuing and keep pushing, because no one's going to give it to you. You got to work hard. You really have to work hard. And you have to want to love this. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's, this is glamorous all the time. Heck no. It's a lot of hard work. It really is. I can't even begin to tell you how hard it's been. But it's all worth it at the end of the day. Because I get to travel all over the world and share my gift of music that God's given me, to be able to share that and see people's faces when we play and when we share our music and the bands and the different collaborations that we bring, and go all over the world and do that, and then meet other musicians and artists, and we all start jamming. And then we, you get these great collaborations happening, and then you sharing things that I would never even think of, and that's exciting to us that have been in the business for a long time.
Speaking of collaboration, probably one of the earliest collaborations you witnessed was your dad and your uncle and so on. And I want to play a quick snippet of what that sounded like. Well, we don't want to be rude, and obviously there's a lot of music that's really worth listening to in full and total, but we got a ton of stuff to go for today. What was that we heard there?
That was my dad and my uncle's band, my Uncle Coke and my dad, Pete Escovedo, and it was called Azteca, and that was an 18-piece band. They put together at a time where Carlos Santana disbanded his band, and so part of Carlos's band went with my dad's band, and they put together this awesome creation. They had like 3-4 percussion players, 3 or 4 singers, like 4 horn players, 2 or 3 keyboard players, 2 guitar players, bass, drums. It was a big band, and actually, I think it was right after that record. So it must have been 75, 76? No,
Well, the
75?
record came out in
Yeah.
72, so...
Really, was it? Good Lord, help me, Jesus. Okay, I'm older than I thought. Um, but yeah, so right after that second record came out, my dad, that band was playing, and the conga player, percussion player, got sick, and I begged my dad to let me play the show with them because I know that whole record, and they rehearsed at the house in the living room. So I was like, please, can I play? And he said, yeah, no, you're 15. You don't know anything. I'm like, come on, Pops. So anyway, I ended up playing that show, one of those shows with that band, and that was the day I knew that this was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. You get to sit in, you know, I begged people. I continued to knock on the doors and stand on the sides of these gigs where my friends were playing. Can I play? Can I play? Get away, little girl. Can I play? Can I play? I begged, and they're like, no, 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 no. Finally, I started getting on stage. I just kept bothering people. Can I play? Okay, you can play. And the more I sat in, and I'd sit in with anyone, it didn't matter. I just wanted to play. That experience you can't pay for. You can't learn. You have to do it. And so that experience, when I finally got to play with my dad at 15, you get into a situation where this band was signed with Clive Davis, CBS. They're touring with Stevie Wonder, Temptations, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I get to play with them. And all of a sudden, I thought I played okay, but then you play with these musicians who the level is like A list of artists and musicians, and it brought me to a place that I had never been. So I really had to play. I had to, you know, sit up straight and really, you know, buckle down. And my dad told me, take a solo, you know. I started playing a conga solo. And you have 18-piece band burning, playing. You just get to that place where, you know, again, I had never experienced before. And that's when I realized this is what I wanted to do. But I really had to work hard to get there, you know. So that was a great opportunity and a great band.
Some of the work of that family that some people might familiar with in a different form would be this song. Oops. So, what can you tell the world about Coke Escovedo?
Coke Escovedo is my uncle, and has passed away long, long time ago. Incredible percussion player. Him and my dad played. He was the younger brother. And they both played congas and timbales and switched off all the time. And then my Uncle Coke, after leaving Azteca, went on his own to do his own records. But it's just really cool. I haven't heard that in like, wow, 30 years, 20 years, I don't know. That just threw me back for a minute.
What did it throw you back to?
It just reminds me of being home and being with my family and seeing him, which, you know, after a while when someone has passed so long, you kind of forget about them. And, you know, thank you for that, because I needed to hear that. It's awesome to hear, you know. Being percussion players back in the day, I mean, there weren't a lot of percussion players who were leading their own bands, you know, except for Tito Puente. Well, that was one. Or Mongo Santa Maria, or, you know, people like that from Cuba, Puerto Rico, New York. So for that's the East Coast. And the West Coast didn't have too many percussion players who were well known. And my uncle and my dad were too, from the West Coast. And that was just great to hear how they used percussion as you can hear how somewhat of Barry White being influenced by that kind of vibe, you know, the conga being really out there in the front with the low voice and, you know, the strings and horns and stuff. So,
speaking of East Coast, this also became known as so-called loft classic, something that was played in the New York dance scene and by DJs like David Mancuso and all these early pre-house parties and stuff. Were you guys aware of that on the other side of the coast, of that dance scene?
No, not at all. We had no idea. And that's the thing about when you're playing music, you're writing music, you're a part of something that you're creating. You don't realize how many people or that you touch all over the world. You have no idea, you know, until someone shares it with you, you know, but we didn't know that. because there was somewhat at this time there was a rivalry between the East Coast and the West Coast music of Latin music, traditional salsa or Latin jazz. There was a little bit of a thing happening between the East Coast and West Coast.
One more song from that camp. Sorry about my voice today. I guess it's pretty safe to say that not a single person in this room is from a place where the current hip-hop culture has not sampled that beat in one way or the other. Right. And I guess he was not around long enough to reap the benefits of that. But
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But were you at any stage within the family? I guess you had a different tie into that scene. But were your elders in some way informed of the waves, like, oh, we're getting a second life here? It's like Rakim is sampling our beats and stuff.
Yeah, we didn't know a lot of that either, because we were creating music and then playing and had no idea that there was a whole other scene happening, a lot of stuff got sampled by Tito Puente more than us, but it's kind of cool because then some of the younger kids thought that that was the original song from that either DJ or rapper or whoever sampled it. And then you go back and say, wait a minute, that was done in 1957, which is kind of cool because it did help that whole scene after a while bring us older people into the scene of the young kids.
You frequently mentioned Tito Puente now. He was a frequent guest in the household. Mm-hmm. So, but he was from the East Coast, right?
Yeah. Him and my father, he would play in San Francisco in the Bay Area, and he would come and visit my dad. And they were friends, I think, at 15 or 16 years old. And so Tito Puente kind of became like my godfather. There were times when I was going to play in different situations outside of the Bay Area, and if I'd fly to do a session in L.A. or some other places. It was kind of weird because, like I said, no one really knew who I was, but Tito helped us to get a name as well because he always allowed us to come and sit in if we were by him or at one of the shows. He'd invite us up on stage, and he always told me, don't pay attention to those people. They're not doing anything. You come and play with me and just do what you do. So, you have people like that and that can help you along as well. He was a great influence, very, very generous man.
To give everyone a bit of an idea, could we please see video clip number 1?
Video.
Yeah, it's really worth searching all these out if you're into percussion, because I guess you can pick up one or two things from watching at them, and there's a wealth of them online these days. Yeah. What did you learn in person, from a performing artist like him?
He always gave it 150%, like my dad. The two of them being influenced by both of them, to just go for it all the time. Just do it, just get in there and do it and play. No matter what happens. Sometimes, the monitors, we didn't have monitors. You couldn't hear each other. We had to look at each other and then really pay attention because, you've got 3 or 4 percussion players and a drummer. You can't hear anything. You just have to watch each other and just play. So we learned a lot. When you're playing with that caliber of artists and musicians, you want to do your best and raise the bar, and you want them to say that they are proud of you. So you really want to, do your best every single time.
It seems to be a really physical thing as well to play like that.
Oh, yeah. It's hard. After a while, playing congas, I don't play them as much, but I still play and I love to play. But there were times, again, when I was playing with George Duke, and we were playing for months at a time, and my hands would start bleeding, just because I'm hitting on something that is a skin that after a while you're playing every single day for a month. You get calluses, but then they're bleeding, and then it just, after a while, I would have to, before we went on stage, backstage, I would hit against the wall or the brick wall of the dressing room to numb my hands before I went on stage because they hurt so bad. And that was, for years I did that, for years, because I loved it. You know, you have to, again, endure the pain. From playing drums, I mean, you know, I used to play with the cymbals way up high, and I had like 8 cymbals and 10 toms and 2 kick drums and, you know, all kind of stuff. And then I got a tear in my shoulder, and then rotator cuff, and then I had little not like an operation kind of here in my elbow, my wrist, and after a while you go, okay, let me break it down and put everything really close so I can reach it, and it just feels better. So I'm constantly adjusting things so that it feels good, it feels comfortable, you know, later on. I mean, these injuries come from me learning that I should have been warming up when I play. I didn't realize. It's like I just go out and play on stage and play as hard as I can, and then you do that for like 4 hours every day, and then you get off stage and your hands are bleeding, everything hurts, and you just go, well, I'll do it again tomorrow.
It's almost like listening to an athlete talk
Yeah.
about their career, and it's like, and the repercussions they go through. But a professional athlete has only so many years in their career. I mean, 10 if they're lucky. You now said 41 years on stage.
Yeah, and I'll be here another 41 years.
Bless.
Absolutely.
So I guess at a certain time you need to come up with a regiment where you think like, okay, how much of myself can I actually throw into this? And where do I draw the line that people that actually come to see me still get the performance they want, but I keep enough of myself to endure and make sure I'm there for the next week, the next month, the next 41 years.
You would think that would be what I would do, and it's not. No, I don't kind of reserve. There's no reserve for me. I just go all out every single show, whether I hurt myself or not. One thing I have learned is that before I play, I at least take my sticks and either something that's semi-hard so that I can warm up for 15 minutes with the sticks. It actually helps me loosen up and get the blood flowing in my hands. It's worse when I'm playing outside because the temperature changes. The drum heads, they're damp or it's too hot, and then the skins are low. It changes everything. But warming up at least 15 minutes has been a life changer. The drum seat, that's not mine, but the drum seat that I use now has a hydraulic because my back went out. I've had injuries. My back went out. I was partially paralyzed for 2 weeks. They wanted me to get an operation. I went to 4 doctors for 4 months to learn how to walk around the corner. It took that long. But I realized, because you have seen me play in high heels. Today you see I have on tennis shoes. Playing in high heels, playing drums was the worst thing I could have ever done. I played timbales playing in my heels, but then after a while, like 3 or 4 songs in, I take my heels off and I'll play without any shoes. But what ended up happening, being in my heels like this, shortened my calf muscle from playing, and I didn't realize it, which then twisted my whole body like this. My back went out, and then after that, then my lung collapsed. I don't know what happened. I was tired. So then my body said, okay, you need to stop and, chill out for a minute. So I learned how to pace myself in a way, not pacing on stage. I still give it 150%, but it's what you do before you get on stage. So it's the warming up. It's trying to eat the right foods when you're out on tour, late at night when there's nothing to eat but hamburgers and french fries and pizza. You don't want to do that every single day. So, it's learning how to take care of, this is a temple. You have to feed the inside in order to help the outside. A lot of us, we've gone through where the outside looks great and the inside is just really messed up. And so it's really taking care of yourself and learning how to take care of your body in that way so you can go out there and give that 150% no matter what and still feel okay after the show.
A different type of performance, or someone that apparently you liked a lot. Could we please see video number 2?
Here again, Sammy Davis. So let's have fun.
So I believe that was Sammy Davis Jr. on the Ed Sullivan show. Very much like Tito beforehand, he looked very happy on stage. It's like when you see a lot of people having a performance with their Ableton and their laptop, and the classic.
You calling people out? Go ahead.
No, and you know the classic, like, oh, what am I doing? It's like changing the queue here. Am I gonna check some mails here? And like, there's something about that performative energy in there, and maybe even humor. It's like, how do you bring that to the stage, and how do you get yourself to that every day, even though you might feel very different?
Yeah, I get on stage. Anything that has happened during the day, good or bad, stays off the stage. I never bring any personal anything. And I don't allow the band to do that either. The biggest part of playing is all of us being one unit. So if someone brings something on the stage, there's going to be a disconnect. You can deal with it after, but when people come to play and they show up, you owe it to them to be responsible and give them a great show. So there's a lot of people that, they're on their laptops and they're programming and, writing music. And then when it comes time to get out on stage, you kind of, don't have that, that entertainment thing. And that's what a lot of people want. They want to be entertained. And you have to find that. The weirdest thing that some people might do this already, but if you can, you videotape yourselves. I mean, everyone does selfies all day long, so I'm sure it's okay to videotape yourself. But videotape yourself playing and watch it back and see what that looks like. And if you're entertained and you think, man, I did great, I look good, I sound good, then it's okay. If you kind of look uncomfortable and you feel uncomfortable looking at yourself, then we're going to be uncomfortable looking at you because we're not going to believe you because you don't believe yourself. That's how it works. So videotape yourself, play in the mirror, and look at certain things. That's what I would do all the time. I would look in the mirror if I was getting ready to record a video or do parts in the movie, some things that we had to do. I would take each line of a song and figure out of that line in the song, what word would I make sure that you're going to get if it was the word heart and how I would say it, or the word, if I'm saying look into your eyes, how I would do it, or, wink or do something that would catch your attention. When you're writing lyrics, sometimes we don't hear it, and the only way to hear it is to see it. So in order for me to see it, you have to get my attention. I need to make sure that you're actually talking to me. When we look at videos and performances and you're able to see that person one-on-one, it could be 10,000 people in the audience, but when you reach all 10,000 people, you're doing something right because you're connecting with everyone. So you really have to get in the mirror if you can, and practice and look at yourself and feel comfortable about who you are in the mirror, and it'll get better as it goes along. Pick these key words in a sentence or parts in the chorus that mean something, how you want to translate it like this visually. It makes a big difference. And also on stage, sometimes you really feel like you're really going all out, and you look back at the videotape, if you're taping, you're going, man, I felt like I was doing this, and really I was just doing this. You think that you're really being big, but you're not. And that's the thing about doing live performances. You have to make sure you're bigger than life. You have to let us feel that, man, you can reach everyone in this entire room. And that's hard to do sometimes.
What did fascinate you in particular about Sammy Davis Jr.?
I saw a videotape of him when I was younger, tap dancing with his uncles. And he was only like 5 or 7 years old. And I was just amazed, like, this kid is ridiculous. I can't believe how talented he is, And so I said, I could do that. And I tried to tap dance. I said, well, maybe not, but I'll try something else, So I started playing his tap dancing stuff with my hands on the table. And I was like, wait, I'm emulating. I can see it. I'll play it this way with my hands instead of my feet. But I figured out a way how to do it. And then my dad brought home this record. I think it was live in Vegas or something like that, featuring Buddy Rich. And my dad brought, I was 9 years old, and this album he brought from Sammy Davis Jr. And the whole monologue at the beginning was just amazing. And I learned that entire record from I wasn't like listening to just drums. I listened to the overall piece. And I just thought he's just so amazing because he didn't just tap dance and then all of a sudden he's singing. And then I have one of his organs. He played organ. He played everything. He sang. He was an actor. He did all kind of stuff. And it's just like, that's that entertainer that I love that just wants to do everything. And I said, I want to do everything. I'm going to try. I'm just going to have fun. And he seemed like he was always having fun. They were laughing on stage all the time, and then you laugh, you know. He's singing, you know, he's dancing, he's playing drums. That's crazy.
Did it occur on you in any way of like where he was typecast, especially when they performed as the Rat Pack, and what his role was in there?
You said was he?
No, what his role was and the way they placed him in that setup.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they talked about it, you know, that he was the black guy, the token in a sense, but he called himself the black Jewish guy. But he was able to be in that position to get the masses because of Frank, you know, and be able to be surrounded in a group of people that were huge and famous and can do big things, you know. So being a part of that, you know, he loved it.
Did some of the humor in there seem as abusive then as it seems now?
Yeah, but I think the abusiveness that we have right now with our youth is way worse than that. I think what we're doing now and how we cut each other down and don't respect each other and how we call each other out of our names and call us other stuff, that's bad. That's barely anything compared to what we do now.
On that merry note, let's play Dukey Stick. That's video number 4.
The video you have? Gosh, can I get a copy of this stuff? Really?
So what's going on there?
I don't know. No. We actually we shot that video, I think, at the Roxy in Los Angeles. What happened was Ndugu Chancellor, who I met while he was in Santana, he wanted to come out and sing in the front. He's like, I'm going to be the star on this song. I'm going to come out and sing in the front. Somebody got to play drums. Sheila, go play drums. I'm like, I don't know how to play drums. So anyway, I played drums and had a great time. So that was one of the songs I played. And the thing about George, which was pretty awesome, when I left my dad's band, playing with George, having that opportunity to play with someone like that played, you know, Frank Zappa, he played Brazilian music, funk, jazz, rock and roll, gospel. He played everything. And so fusion, you know, we played music that was different time signatures. I don't read music. I don't write music. Everything that I write is from my ear. I sing melodies. I'll sing beats, whatever. But I don't read or write music. I'm just learning, actually. But the thing is with George is that he would play all these different time signatures, 15, 24, I don't know. He was just coming up with stuff. I was like, Uncle George, where's the one? You know? And he said, you'll feel it. Just go ahead and play, E. Just go ahead and play. I said, okay. So we'd start playing, and I'd have to listen to it because things would just turn around. He goes, we're in 7. 7? Okay, count it for me. And he'd play, and I go, oh, I get it. So he allowed me to learn all of these different time signatures while being in his band. I actually got paid to just go to school, basically, you know. And it was so awesome because we got to play everything. And that's when I even started singing and playing more with his band. And that's the thing, is like trying to be versatile, sing, play, dance, do whatever. It's like, I'm just going to challenge myself, you know, and make it fun. And he was that guy that never said, Sheila, just play this on that song and just only hit the drum one time and then go to the chimes and then stand there and then play the triangle. He never told me to never the entire time I played with him, never said to play anything like that. He just said, you play what you hear, and that's going to be the best thing, because I can't tell you what to play, because you're going to already know.
He was also a big advocate of synthesis and trying different sounds as well, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he had so many different synthesizers. The Mini Moog was one of his favorites. And he just, he had pianos, he had different keyboards that they fixed to have different sounds. And, of course, you see some of the keyboards are in plexiglass, so you could see it, the clavinet. He used all kinds of stuff. He had this other thing that was built. I don't even know what it was. It didn't work half the time, but it looked pretty. I don't know.
So you mean like the Dukey stick?
Yeah, that hardly worked at all. It didn't. Every time he tried to light it, it wouldn't go off, and he's just like, the stupid thing.
Nevertheless, seemed to be like a good prop to reel people in. It's like, oh, it's the
Absolutely.
guy. Like, it's a lot easier to remember that, oh, it's the guy with that stick, rather than it's like, oh, there's a fusion player who's like...
Exactly. No, that was his little gimmick, yeah. Let's get a Dukey stick. Oh, what's a Dukey stick? A stick that blows out fire. Okay, that works. Well, it didn't work, but yeah.
On to another gentleman, track number 5, please. Maybe the first minute or so.
Sort of unheard of, and you may not believe me, actually, but Sheila...
Who you're still working with today, right? He's still directing your videos and stuff?
Say it again?
He's still working with you today?
Yeah, my brother, yeah. He's directing my videos now, so, yeah. It's fun. Listen, any gig that I had, I try to bring my family, my friends. So if you hang out with me, you end up in someone's band or something. That's what happens with just the connection thing.
You just gotta have chops, I guess.
No, not necessarily. A good heart, be on time, learn your stuff, have some confidence, some fun, no drama. That's all. That's all I ask. Oh, no drama. Mm-hmm. I heard that.
Well, in a less comical sense, drama was actually what happened right after this tour that you got off there. Like, I mean, you were a fan of this person.
Oh, Marvin, yeah. No, it was incredible. The quick story about that is, one of the guys came to see us play, and then he said, I'm going to be the road manager for Marvin Gaye. Would you like to come and play? And I was like, of course, Marvin Gaye. I grew up listening to Marvin Gaye. So that song, I don't have a Congo, but it goes, I'll do it like this. Tack, tack, right? Tack, tack. Mother, there's far too many of you crying, right? So that beat is happening, and it's like, I get to play that conga beat that I listened to forever, and Marvin Gaye is going to be singing, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, right? So you see that there's 3 of us playing percussion. It was my brother and my cousin. So all of us play something. So anyway, we're playing, and we're doing a rehearsal, and we had 3 of everything. We had 3 congas, 2 or 3 congas, timbales, bongos, toys, right? There's a 24-piece band. And so Marv is singing. He's a really soft-spoken man. Hi, Sheila, how you doing? Oh, it's a great day. He's really soft-spoken. We're playing, and we're doing what's going on, and I'm playing that one conga because the one conga is that dun-dun-gat, right? I'm playing that, and then all of a sudden I start dancing. I was like, ooh, yeah, we're in now. This is getting good. So I started dancing, my brothers, and we all started dancing. Then the horn players are looking like, okay, we're going to start dancing too. So everybody started dancing and getting their own steps and stuff. So I started playing, and then I ended up going dun dun dak dun dun dak dun. I hit the other drum dun dak dun, and all. Now Marvin Gaye had his back to the whole band, 24-piece. All of a sudden we hear, stop! Stop! Like he yelled, and all you hear is, sticks falling and stuff happening. Like what? Everybody freaked out because we had never heard him yell before. And he just turned around, he looked at the band, and he said, somebody played an extra beat. Oh my God. So you see where I was standing. My brother was here and my cousin was here. And my heart, you can hear it was like, I said, oh, I'm scared. And I said, sorry, Mr. Gaye, I will make sure that my brother never does that again. Yeah. And then my brother, he put his hand up. He's like, yep, I'm sorry. So early on, that was 1982, early on I learned when, and this is the key to all my stuff I do, when not to play. Learn when not to play. So just play what you're supposed to play until there's a time, such as whenever it is, and just play it. And that's the problem a lot of musicians have now, is that everyone wants to play everything now and get busy, and no one's playing or listening to each other, and it just becomes a mess. So if you learn when not to play, that's the key, you know. I had a drummer that played with me, dope drummer, but he wants to solo on the hi-hat. I'm like, why? Just keep time for like 8 bars. Just give me 8 bars of the same drum beat. And then they're like, oh, but I'm feeling, no, don't do anything. Don't move. Just play the same thing. If we all played the same thing and no one moved, the intensity of that thing getting, like almost that first piece that you played, it just gets bigger and better if we just played the same thing, and all of a sudden it would get intense because we would all become one. And all of a sudden you would feel this thing like a movement. It's like a movement if everyone listens to each other and just plays, you know, just play what you're supposed to play. And then if there's other things to add, cool. And that's what I'm saying. I would rather have someone that is not a soloist but will keep time all day long. You know, I'd rather that and has a good heart than someone who can solo and get crazy and bring drama. See ya. No, that doesn't work for me.
When playing for Marvin, did you have to adjust yourself mentally? Because, I mean, a lot of the music beforehand was about the embellishments, whereas that Detroit school is very much about cut to the chase, deal with the...
Well, it was interesting because, again, there's 3 percussion players. We had to split parts up. We couldn't all just play the same thing. So each song, it was, you know, either bongos with a couple of beats and me with a triangle, you know, every 16 bars maybe, you know. And then there was a young lady who played vibes as well, and she had some percussion. So you've got 4 percussion players: drummer, bass, guitar, keyboards, horns, singers. There's a lot of pieces, so you can't just play whatever you want. You have to really put things into place and figure out, well, we don't all want to step on top of each other. We got to figure this out and kind of split it up. So instead of one person trying to play everything, 3 people splitting it up and taking turns makes more sense. And then trying to stay out of the way of the drummer.
How old were you at that time?
82? I don't know. I was born in 57. How old did that make me? 24, 5? 24.
So you almost had like 10 years on the road by then.
Oh, yeah.
So is there any advice of being on the road etiquette that you can share with people who are just on the start of their path?
We don't have enough time for that one. Yes. Okay. Like I said, be on time. Really be considerate of everyone around you. You know, I can tell you 10,000 stories that have happened to me on tour with other band members, and I've actually kicked people off the bus and said, "Get home on your own," because that doesn't work over here. You know, listen. My situation was in my band. In order to even get in my band, you had to say that you weren't going to drink, you weren't going to smoke, no drugs. You were going to be on time. If you're late the first time, slap on the hand. Second time, $50. Third time, you're fired. And if I wanted to change your hair, purple, green, or yellow, I would be able to do that because I had a look that everyone had to have an image, because I saw the picture of, you need to have black hair with a little red stuff here or whatever, and you're going to wear the, you know, and what clothes you're going to wear. It was a vision. So, you know, I wanted us to be a club, a gang, and say we're all doing this together, and you have to wear makeup. And okay, cool. Well, that's the '80s, and we were all wearing makeup, the guys. And after a while, I wanted to make sure that the band, we all looked like we were doing this together, and we had a great time. That lasted for a hot minute, because after a while, they were tired of going to do the interviews and putting on makeup. It takes work. So really, if you really want to do this, you really have to be passionate about it. Treat people nicely, because after a while, this business does this, and at some point you're going to run into those people. The people that you ran into here, you're going to run into them when you're down here. You're going to have to ask a favor. You're going to need some help, Just be a good person, man. It really helps to just be considerate of each other and respect. If you respect each other and love each other and have a great time, it's all cake. It really is.
But that's said from the perspective of someone who already had their own band. Beforehand, when you were coming on as a band, especially as a young woman, then I guess you see a lot of behavior that maybe your parents wouldn't necessarily approve of. How do you defend yourself in that situation and make sure you stand your ground?
Yeah, I can honestly say that I never got anything by sleeping with anyone. I always said no. I've gotten offered ridiculous things. If you just sleep with me, I'll get you a record deal. Hey, you want your own plane? G5? Oh, wait, no, a hotel. Wait, it could be called Sheila Inn, hotel, suite, resort.
Oh, Sheila.
Oh, Sheila. Really, just like, and I would just say no. And then I hear other women sleeping, and I'm just going, I wasn't brought up that way. I have parents that they're still married. They just had their 59th wedding anniversary. That doesn't happen in this business. So that's a blessing. And but that's the home that I came from, the upbringing. There were things that had been said to me, and I just made sure that I was being respected in a way that I wanted to be treated as a woman, as a strong woman, as a loving, caring person. And even though I played drums in a so-called male, that didn't exist, but people made it that. And I just happened to be a great musician. And I just so happened to be a woman. So, it's a gift to be a woman, and I wanted to be respected as that. So I never backed down on anyone trying to disrespect me, ever. Yeah.
I guess one of the first, we're in the middle of the 80s now, and videos became very important. And maybe it's worth to look at one of your first appearances in a video for a quick moment.
God.
This would be video number 6.
I think I know what it is. I bet you don't have. It is.
So like we said, it was the 80s, so videos became very important. What did we see there in the first place?
A scared little girl. First of all, I was glad to be in the video. They had already done the record, so I didn't play on that. But the funny thing is, Lionel's like my big brother. So I was supposed to be kind of like a love interest. And every time he came to me towards the end of that video, and he'd look at me and he'd do this, and I go, seriously, this is not working. I can't look at you like that, So we had a great time. It was just weird trying to dance. I just felt weird trying to dance in that dress. It was uncomfortable. But it was something I had never done. And being in the video on MTV was huge. That was like big deal. So go do it, So I did.
But big deal. At this time you already had recorded with like Billy Cobham, with Herbie Hancock. You played with Miles Davis. So it doesn't get much bigger than that in the world. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, you want me to act like it's an episode of 2010 or something?
Yeah. Yeah, it was again. It was something I had never done, to be in a video, and again, MTV was the place to be. If you got, they hardly let any black people on MTV at the beginning. Come on, let's get real. That was a big deal. So I was like, yeah, I want to be in the video, absolutely. And then I brought my sister. I always bring somebody with me. I'm telling you, hang out with me, we'll have a great time.
Well, we get to that in a second, but someone else that I actually got on MTV, despite his color.
I was wondering,
So by now there's 3 percussionists credited on their record, and you're not one of them.
Correct. They forgot to put my name on the record.
Damn them.
On that song in particular. Quincy and Michael called me to come in the studio and play this song, and he says, I want you to do something that has like a high pitch. And again, like I said, thinking outside the box, I don't stick to just traditional stuff, and I make stuff up all the time. And so I'm thinking, and Michael's doing some kind of something, I said, okay. So Michael, can you, not Michael Jackson, Michael Davis.
I thought you were going to pull a Chris Tucker here.
No. Yeah, those right there. So what I did was, I'm playing, if you hear the song on this speaker, I can hear the cowbell playing, and then you hear these other things playing over here. So this is what I did. I think I can use this or something. So I asked Quincy to get me some bottles. So they weren't these because they're not tuned, but what I did was I put water in them and I tuned to the track. So play the song and I'll tell you. This is not tuned, so it doesn't matter, but you can at least hear it.
if you could keep on, because the force, it's got a lot of power, and it makes me feel like it makes me feel like
So it was just something I thought of doing, just putting water and tuning it to the track. So, like I said, they wanted on other stuff a scratch sounding like a guido. If you don't know what a guido is, made out of a gourd. Latin percussionists play in Latin bands, but I didn't have a guido at the time, so I took my hairbrush on the couch and it sounded great. There's times where I needed a bite, no pun intended, but there was a snare that I had that didn't have a bite to it, so I took an apple, crunched it a couple of times, sampled it, and put it on the snare. Seriously, it's like, who said I couldn't? You just got to make stuff up. So with this, yeah. You can, when you hear Herbie Hancock, and the other one's, I can't do them all at once. But I made this box because I wanted to play them all at the same time. And I made a box and put like 3 or 4 bottles in it and tuned them to different notes. So the more water you put in it, the higher the pitches. And the less water, the lower the notes. See, and the notes get lower. So stuff like that you can do. Just, have fun with it, figure it out. And
that one works great with beer bottles as well.
It does.
So how different is it dealing with a musical director on stage rather than having some producers like Quincy Jones in the studio telling? That sounded like a good rock band, right?
It did. I don't know. I mean, you can't go wrong with Quincy Jones. I mean, he knows what he wants, and sometimes he doesn't. He's just like, I don't know what that sound is, but come up with something. And you just try things until it sounds right or feels right to him, which is what happened.
So I want to take us from being hired and being someone on stage in the video, in the studio, to being like really center stage. And for that, I guess we'd move to video number 7, please. Now to the really important bits about that one. What is the drum machine on that record?
That's a Lynn drum machine.
LM1?
Yeah.
Right.
And then, the Lynn. But what I did was with this band, the drummer that's playing in my band at that time stayed with me for a very long time. I grew up with him, and he's actually a timbale player, and you know him now as Carl Perazzo, as the timbale player for Carlos Santana. So when I disbanded my band, he went with Carlos. But he can play a little bit of everything. So instead of me having him sit down on a kit, I wanted everyone to dance. So I put a kick drum just like that, and I had the snare so he could stand up and play the snare. And he had a hi-hat on the right side so he can play open. And I put triggers on 2 toms and 2 toms and a trigger on the kick drum and the Lynn machine. So he had the on and off switch on the floor, and he had to turn off the Lynn machine off and on. And the dugga, that's all done with the trigger on one of the toms, because it was the only way for me to get him to stand up. So he stand up and played drums the whole show, because that's visually what I wanted to see. The keyboard players, I had them, instead of sitting down, of course, but to play with the keyboards just straight, I had everyone tilt their keyboards so they're standing up playing like this. So it just looked better. So, and it actually felt better for them instead of playing like this anyway. So now, to this day, they all tilt their keyboards since that time, because it just made sense. So there was things visually that I wanted to do. That was the American Music Awards with Dick Clark, and Dick Clark was a friend of mine. And he, at the time, like I said, I wanted to be respected. Well, I thought wearing no clothes for a long time, I would be respected. That didn't work. So I kind of lost my mind for a minute, but I came back. But at that time, Dick Clark was used to me coming to the shows, and he always had to say, "Sheila, let me see your wardrobe." Because at that time, they had these people that would look and make sure that nothing was going to be seen, and they would cover up, and if there was a shot, they had to break away to another shot. So this, he said, "Let me see what you're wearing," and it was fine. Everything was covered up. But the big deal was at the end, right when you saw me walk away with the fur coat, I had these sticks that were what do you call? No, they weren't. They were they lit up. I forgot what they were. Anyway, so we used, they're like lasers, but we used those drumsticks, and they made these plexiglass drums, the stick itself, to make sure that it wouldn't break, because if it did, it would burn me. So it was a big deal for ABC to turn off the light for me to use those sticks. And we had to convince them. We argued and fought, like, please, Mr. Clark, let us do this. And they're saying that, what if they don't turn on? Then that means for even 2 seconds, if the television goes black, that's a big deal. Like, that's major. What if the lights don't come on? I said, it's going to come on. It's going to work. And so they let me do that. That had never been done on television before. And that was also a big deal. So we had fun doing that.
The Clark seemed to be really concerned about everyone's wardrobe. There's an interview of him interviewing you on American Bandstand where he's really concerned about the wardrobe. What was the movie your gear was inspired by?
Oh, Amadeus.
Oscar winner, at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah. I loved clothes, and I would look at magazines and pull stuff out and then mix it up and have people, design different things for the band. But yeah, one of those outfits that I had was a big cape, and when I took the cape off, I turned around. the backside was a little bit exposed, kind of, and through lace. And so he made sure that when I turned around, he had to see the whole thing. When I turned around, that he would go to an audience shot and then come back to me and make sure it was okay. Because they had sensors back then, so it was a big deal.
Well, now they have a 2-second delay. Thanks to,
Barely. Yeah.
Well, when looking for those performances, what's pretty striking is we did not find one performance that mirrored the other. There's like always new dancers, new costumes, and so on. That is A, a lot of effort, and B, tons of money against your own account, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of money depending on who's making the clothes. And, you know, if it's the person who's very famous, they're going to charge you a lot of money, all that stuff. Yeah, that was towards the end of, or somewhat in the middle of the Purple Rain tour. And when I was out on tour for a year doing 98, 99 shows, and I got off the tour owing $990,000.
How does that work?
You know, when people are saying, yeah, what do you need? Okay, great, I'll take care of it. All right, little buddy. All is good. Okay, what do you need? Oh, yeah, no, we'll take care of that. Don't worry about it. We'll take care. Hey, don't you need to? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I would love to have that. Okay, yeah, we'll take care of that. And then at the end of the tour, they said they were going to take care of it. And then I get a bill for $990,000 after working for an entire year.
And on the back of a record that did how much?
Oh, I don't even remember.
It sold quite a fair
It was
bit.
it was gold or platinum. Yeah, in Japan, here in the States, and here we did great as well. Yeah.
So how does that work when you sign a deal and you're like, you get presented with all that stuff that you don't really care to read, and you get like 7 different opinions by people, and in the end, I mean, it still happens to this day that you get multi-platinum artists that all of a sudden end up bankrupt. They had great videos, but no one seemed to tell them at the time that, oh, that gets deducted from what you're...
Right. Yeah, the biggest thing is to make sure you have someone looking at anything that you're going to sign, because there's always something in the little tiny print that they kind of flip and you go, well, I thought it meant that. No, it meant the other thing. So make sure you always have someone reading the things that you're supposed to sign, and as well as asking questions and making sure you understand. Just don't go, okay, they got it. They'll take care of it. I trust them. Don't trust anybody. You just never know. Even the people who were working for me ripped me off, so it happens. So you just really have to, that's the other important part about the business, the music business. It should be business of music. If it was the other way around, we would learn more and know more about the business, which is so important. You can work for, you hear about all these artists, God bless you, 30, 40 years, playing, and like you say, come home broke. We have to do fundraisers to raise money for their funeral, or they're sick or something. This is every day, still. So make sure you learn the business. This is really important. Save your money, put it away. I mean, again, the first time I was going to sign my record deal, they gave me some money, a check, and I went right to go buy a Maserati. Dum, 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 dum. But someone had the sense to turn around and say, Sheila, are you sure you want to get that? And I said, yeah. The guy said it was I only have to put $25,000 down. I said, that's not a big deal. I got a check. Yeah, but you got to pay that money back, and then the insurance on that Maserati. And then I said, oh, I get it. Never mind. I took it back. Yeah.
On that note, do you recall hearing yourself on the radio for the first time?
Yes. I was driving down Sunset Boulevard, and I had a rent-a-car. It was a Mercedes, a red one, I remember, I had the sunroof open. I was making a left to go to this very famous deli called Greenblatt's. And you know that place. Yeah, the lemon cake. And so I'm making a left to go into Greenblatt's. And, there's 2 lanes on Sunset. I guess the third lane is sometimes you can't park. It's where the meters are. And so at certain times, you can drive through there. I'm making a left. and the song is on Glamorous Life. I was like, oh my God, Glamorous Life, it's on the radio. It's the first time I'm hearing it. I'm yelling and screaming, oh my God. And I'm looking to make sure, and then I get ready to, pull up the hill, and a car slams into me, totals the Mercedes. I get out the car. First of all, I'm glad I wasn't hurt. I got out of the car and I looked at the person, this guy, he was just zooming down Sunset. And I turned around, I got out of the car and I was like, are you okay? Are you okay? He's like, yeah, are you okay? I mean, he messed up the car, and it was a rent-a-car too. And I said, I'm okay. I said, that's my song on the radio. Anyway, then I called the guy, and these are the days, you just keep ordering things. I was like, hey, man, I just got in a car wreck. Can you come bring me a black Mercedes? No joke. That's what happened for real.
And then the tanks, like with Marvin, the tax man comes knocking as well.
Yeah. No, taxes I paid. I'm good. I don't mess with Uncle Sam.
Well, at least Marvin got a really great record out of that.
Yes,
so.
he did. Marvin did, yeah. Yeah. But that's the thing, again, the tax situation, You got to pay your taxes. Yeah.
Seeing that we just were on Sunset, you had a quick flirt with Hollywood as well. I think it's kind of a appropriate time to play clip number 10, please.
I don't know what this is.
So you do have quite a big part in that movie.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. I think I was on the second half of the tour. No, the end of the Purple Rain tour. Been out for a year. They wanted me to go audition with Blair Underwood, and I went to New York. We did a quick little spot and make sure we had chemistry. They said, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was so tired and exhausted. So that situation was good and bad. Good and bad meaning I was exhausted. I had worked so hard. The second part about it was there was an East Coast, West Coast rivalry thing. I came in as a musician, Sheila E, with all my people in the band, everyone that worked with us, and a lot of the rappers there, their situation was a little bit different. At one point, we were shooting Love Bazaar, and the audience is supposed to be in a club scene. The audience has, they're all extras. The director says, okay, ready, roll. They start going into it. We play Love Bazaar. At the end, the audience is supposed to clap. Yay, that was, yeah. They're supposed to be acting. At the end of Love Bazaar, no one clapped. The audience is like this.
A warm New York greeting.
Hating. And then the director said, cut. He's like, what are you guys doing? You're supposed to be, we're shooting a movie. They were so mad at me. They're like, who's this girl coming in trying to rap? I said, I'm not trying to rap. I'm just coming in playing. We were doing Holly Rock, Love Bazaar. It's, whatever. So it was like, again, East Coast, West Coast. There was vibes happening. And in the middle, and I've never really quit doing anything. Like if I do something, I'm going to follow through. In the middle of shooting that movie, I just quit. I was like, I'm done. I don't need to be in all this mess. But anyway, I ended up staying and doing the movie. And a lot of those people in that film are major, huge, big stars. And we all became friends. That's crazy.
Some of which are not around anymore.
Some are not around. Some of the Fat Boys from Run DMC, DJ, not around. There's a couple other people. But Rick Rubin, I mean, all those guys are, big major producers, and LL Cool J, and who had just started. He wasn't doing much of anything. Russell Simmons. There are a lot of people in that movie.
So the plotline was loosely based on Def Jam.
Yeah.
I guess that's fair to say.
Yeah.
It's like, but there weren't that many girl MCs on Def Jam at that time. So
there might have been one if there was, but I don't know of any. There weren't that many. But like I said, I wasn't trying to rap. I was just coming in. They asked me to be in the movie. I didn't know I was going to get hated on, so.
But you got a pretty prominent part, and I mean, there's a pretty great performance of Love Bizarre in there. Did you see this?
Yeah. it was it the script was a little bit easy. It wasn't that we had to read a lot, and he really wanted us to improvise as well, like just pretend, that things were. What would you say if this happened or that happened? There was just a little bit of a script, so. But we had fun with it once we got into it.
And again, a lot of those things then traveled, were picked up on VHS or bought up by foreign TV stations, and then all of a sudden that was the way that kids on the other side of the world found out. It's like, oh, that's how they actually dress, and that's how they behave, and all these things.
Yeah. It was. I don't know. I mean, I was just getting into Run DMC and Curtis Blow. I mean, I knew of their music, but I didn't know them well. And then after that, and I was like, well, wait a minute, I know some of these songs. I didn't realize that was them. But it was pretty interesting. And now that movie has become something that, everyone looks at as one of those movies that they didn't think was going to do well. And they keep playing it over and over again. It's okay.
We just mentioned A Love Bizarre, and I would like to play clip number 11, which is a live performance on the Johnny Carson Tonight Show.
You got a lot of stuff.
It's the power of the internet. Joe, so just to put it into perspective, what was the Tonight Show at that time?
One of the biggest television shows out with Johnny Carson, yeah. It was hard to get on the show. And that was a great opportunity to be able to do that. And I wanted to show a little bit of versatility with not just... Love Bizarre wasn't a song that I played timbales on anyway, and we just kind of put that little instrumental part in there so I could just take a quick solo, because that's not what I did on Love Bizarre. And then I wanted to at least try to showcase in a short amount of time me playing drums as well. I thought that was important. So the hard thing about it was, again, jumping onto the drums in those boots that came up to here with the heels about 5.5 inches, and to try to play, my knees wouldn't bend. I couldn't move. It was horrible, but, you do it. Even if it's, take one for the team and just try to do what you can, because they didn't want to. I was like, can I just take my boots off and then go? It's either that, you take your boots off and you end it because you're not going to have any time. I couldn't get the boots off anyway. I need 2 people to pull them off. So that wasn't going to work, so I just had to play in them. But that was a great opportunity.
And I mean, you made really good use of it. I just can't imagine the discussions between management and the production and the TV station and whatnot. It's like, I mean, they clearly wanted you to play the hot song of the moment, and you were like, no, we're going to add some flavor to this.
Yeah. Doc Severinsen at the time loved it, and the idea of, they had a big band, so it was like, yeah, let her play. One of the times I played, I forgot the guy who used to play drums with Doc Severinsen. I forgot his name. But I think at one point I was going to sit on his drum set, but it was just so big. I couldn't reach anything. It felt like a big Flintstone kit. And so I decided, can I just bring my drums?
Speaking of bringing your drums, why are these standing here?
I have no idea.
Is there a way we could somehow persuade you to...
No.
Okay,
well, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I guess lunch is beckoning, but maybe before that, it's like what people wonder a lot about, especially when they're coming from the programming world. They get all these fancy plugins and all these extra loops of percussion, but they get no idea of how to really place them and stuff. And I guess we're going to do something a little later, where we in the studio, where we're going to set up the same drum kit again, and you can ask all those questions about how to mic them properly and how to make sure you get the best possible recording. But I guess for now it might be nice to get a sense of like the different rhythms, because I guess a lot of it got summarized under Latin or salsa, or just terms that encompass like a myriad of different rhythms. And if we could kindly ask you to maybe explain a little bit of like what to look for in different rhythms and what makes them specific, I guess there might be one or two people in here that would appreciate that.
Okay. Well, first of all, let me say this. Like I said, I don't read or write music, and I just play from my heart. The second thing is I don't know hardly any names of any rhythms that I play. I know that something that my dad played, and I just kind of mimic that. Like a rumba or Mozambique or a samba, I kind of know those basic, terms and rhythms. But to break things down like some of my other friends that really know the history.
It's not a history lesson. It's about rhythm now.
Okay. But basically I want to say this, and I am a drummer I am a percussionist who plays percussion on drums. I'm not the drummer who plays percussion. And there's a difference. So if I had congas here, I would show you a rhythm on the congas, which I can do, but I'll just play them on the toms. And what I did was everything that I played on the congas, I said, you know what, if I played them on the drums, I wonder would that work? And it did for me. And also, I kept changing the way that I set up, like I said. And if anyone sees that, you'll see that the double kick pedal is on the outside of the hi-hat. And most male drummers use the kick drum on the inside. But because my back went out, I tried to figure out how I could play sitting straight as opposed to like this. Because after a while, I was all twisted and my back hurt. Oh, here. That's going to be too loud. It's going to be loud anyway. 1, 2. Okay. So I'll just play like a Mozambique that I would play on. You're not going to hear all the tones, but what I would normally play on congas. So then I said if I played it with the sticks and this. Right? Then do it with the kick drum. The kick drum is actually playing that other part that I played here. Then I had the hi-hat. These my sticks. That's still the Mozambique, it's still the same part. So it started with this. I'm gonna add the kick drum, the second kick drum. Then the hi-hat and the kick drum, double kick. Same beat, but if you just use different techniques. Same beat. So the left. Thank you. The left kick drum I kind of use as another hand. If I play with one kick drum, it just doesn't feel the same. So what most drummers would play with the one kick drum, I use the second one because it's easier. The other way is like, I'd have to practice. So basically for me, like I said, let's see, playing drums, the important thing is to be able to play time and really have great tempo. You know, some of the things that drummers do in playing drums is if they're playing really hard, let's see, we'll just do, you know, this. If they're playing really hard, sometimes they play loud and it starts to speed up. And when you ask them to play soft, sometimes it just slows down for whatever reason. And it's hard to try to keep time and play really soft at the same intensity, the same tempo, without the tempo changing. It's really hard to do, to play soft and still play the tempo. Or even singing and playing is even crazier. Or when we're playing the kick drum, which we'll probably do with Andrew, with a click, trying to play to the click, talking or playing or singing, and the click is in your ear, the rest of the band can't hear it, but you're gonna play not like this, because then it sounds like you're playing to the click. You have to play kind of relaxed, still in the pocket, but and just play relaxed with that click going, you know. Now I'm getting punch drunk because I haven't slept since I got here yesterday. Ooh, I'm on 32 hours being up. That's not good. Okay, so now I feel like, okay. So other rhythms, like I said, conga drum beats and stuff that I play. Usually I have a cowbell here. Maybe we'll get one by the time we do the session and put a cowbell here. And I use the cowbell like the hi-hat and playing other rhythms with the cowbell as well. Playing with my dad with Latin jazz music, he really doesn't need to hear the hi-hat as much, so that cowbell is his hi-hat, and I really play rhythms with just playing time like this with that Mozambique. And I'll just play that so that he can hear that cowbell, so he can like solo and do his thing. What else did you want me to play?
I'm kind of torn in at least 3 minds here, because I mean, obviously we got Mr. Chefs here later, and I want everyone to eat before that, and then I guess you can do your thing in the studio. So maybe we'll reserve some of that for later.
Okay.
There's quickly 1 or 2 more things where would you like to join us here again?
I will.
Actually.
Oh, hold on before you do that.
Yeah.
1 second. I know I can do that in the studio. I'll show it to you. That's okay. You can change it. I'll show it to you. Oh, here's. I have it. Oh, yeah, you can do it. That's good. Okay, we'll do it in this. Oh, I don't think we bring a stand, Michael. Oh, we didn't. Okay. Anyway, my timbales. These are pretty heavy because these Swarovski crystals things are on here anyway. So I try to come up with ways on miking things, and my brother over there, he's the expert. But again, I do traditional, and I say traditional meaning like, you know, I'll put a 57 that's on there now on my snare. I use a couple of different mics in my kick drum, and on the outside I'll use different mics for the overheads, different mics for the hi-hat. And a lot of times with the timbales, sometimes they're on stage and I have to get them off really quickly. We try to put rollers on the bottom of the stand for the timbales. So I'm actually building this new kit of timbales that's coming out in January. You'll see it with the hydraulic stuff. It's kind of cool. So with this, I was trying to figure out, instead of us having to take this apart and miking it with a 57, what I did was I took the inside, see that? So we mounted the jack right here on the outside of the timbale. And so I plug it in right here. And I took a 57 and cut it in half. Ooh, you want to know about that. And so now where this is placed, and we can, you know, actually change out these mics, but it sounds so good because it's getting the sound right where it needs to be, you know. So again, you say traditional, and we can do traditional, but like I said, I just always try to come up and try to do something different all the time. I've used, the other day I was recording with Hans Zimmer, and I used a 57 on the hi-hat. I know that's different, but it sounded hecka good. So anyway, the pro, the man over there. Okay, yeah, the man over there, he's the pro, so I do different things in the studio. Michael Davison as well, who's been working with me for 15 years, records all my stuff. Sometimes if I'm trying to play timbales or percussion and recording and he's not in my studio with me, we do it remotely. He's in Minneapolis, I'm in LA. He remotely punches me in and all while I'm playing from Minneapolis on my computer in the studio. We do stuff like that. Technology.
Before we break for lunch, I'd love to hear a little bit about you and as a vocalist and a songwriter again. And for the sound of high fidelity, I'd like to use this thing they call vinyl.
I love it. Listen to that sound. That'd be the wrong speed. First, let me say, I didn't say the F word. I said funk. And he said the other word, because I said I wasn't going to say that word. So I didn't. And then he put his word underneath mine. But I said funk, F-U-N-K. Thank you very much. Okay, go ahead.
Well, obviously, all I cared about was the drum machine again that was used on there. But
Well, here's the thing. My little secret in the studio with the limb machine at that time, we had a couple of limb machines. I guess I can tell the secret. Darn. It doesn't matter.
we can edit stuff. It can stay in the room of privacy. Here.
Sure. No, I'm just kidding. No, so no, what I did was with the Lynn drum machine, the inputs in the back, I put a Boss guitar Boss pedals. And so I put something on the hi-hat or I put something on the snare. And so all that stuff that you hear on all of those songs like Love Bazaar, this, all of that era, we were using the Boss guitar pedals on all the different sounds. And we do it on the fly. There's no punching in. We just run the drum machine, bam, bam, bam. Just because we were, recording on tape. Do you guys know about that? Mm-hmm. Right, we were recording tape. 24-track tape. They only had 24 tracks to get everything done. And then having to cut that tape, it was kind of crazy. So,
Who was cutting it?
I cut tape.
Right. With a razor?
With the razor blade. Yeah.
Where did you learn that?
Myself. Yeah. I taught myself. When I wanted to start writing and being a producer at around 14, 15, I think my first recording little instrument was a cassette. That then you could have 2 tracks on a cassette. Then it became 4 tracks on a cassette. And then I got a reel-to-reel tape, and I started cutting tape and using that. So, yeah, I just bought equipment, and just taught myself. And then, again, being in the studio with my dad and with different people, with George, I ended up engineering a lot of stuff because I just like, let me punch you in. I'm quick. I can get that in and out, just like that. So a lot of the stuff that you hear on Prince's record between 85 and 88, I pretty much engineered a lot of his solos. It was just him and I. And if there's something he couldn't punch himself in, then I would do all of that. Yeah.
This intimacy in recording is, speaking of intimacy, we might have to shut off the snare again.
That snare. Sorry.
I mean, it's one great privilege to have all this staff at hand of professionals, but then sometimes you do want that intimate recording situation. And I mean, we talked about Marvin before, and some of his greatest work was just him in the studio and one engineer, and that's that. And you had similar experiences of working in a really confined sort of way of like, with how many people present? When do you think you get your best work out of you?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, a lot of times I'm recording until 3 a.m, so sometimes 6 a.m. Sometimes I write better at night. I don't know if it's because it's quiet. And I do, record other things during the day, or if it's vocals or something else, whatever. But sometimes there's just no one in the studio. I record a lot of my own stuff myself. But I really love recording with the band live. My last record, Icon, we did that. We recorded live in the studio. I set up my drums where I could see the whole band, and we played. They had not heard all of the music that I had written for the project, so I played them a little bit of it, and they got what key it was in, because I couldn't tell them, because I didn't know. But here's the melody, and here's the the tempo I want to play, and we'd play the song. So we recorded all the songs. With my band live in the studio, we did everything in 3 days. And then I started doing the overdubs and the vocals and some percussion that I couldn't play, since I was playing the drums. And we did it, fairly quickly. But I like playing in the studio with people. It's more fun, But I have... And also the other part of it is writing. It's like I don't want to just write by myself all the time. I like collaborating because other people bring ideas, like I said, that I would not think of, and influences me to do something totally different that I wouldn't, do. And that's what's great about collaborating. One of the things, again, writing songs, you songwriters, make sure you have something written on paper with people. And someone says, I wrote the bridge. No, you didn't, and you get sued later. A couple of people, friends of mine, sued recently. Well, they had to pay a whole bunch of money. And when you're sampling, giving the person credit that you're sampling, that'd be very important. But what I do, which I think is a lot of the writers in Nashville do, if there's 3 or 5 of us in a room and whoever's not writing or doing anything, you need to step out of the room. Only the people are going to write. And if there's 5 of us that are just going to play and jam, I split it 5 ways. I don't care if you just wrote one word. You're in the room. You're playing something that meant something to me and to the rest of, the people playing. And I split it evenly 5 ways or 3 ways or 6 ways, whoever's in the room. I don't want to argue about, I did a third of this and I wrote the chorus. That's the most important. That doesn't go on. So make sure you figure out before you start to write something with someone that you know what you're going to do, and make sure the business is taken care of. Very important.
Before we take care of lunch business, I guess we'd like to play one more video, and that would be number 13, please. So compared to what we've seen earlier, sonically, that's a mildly different way of arranging and approaching the track. What went on there?
It's different. There's really no changes. It's just it's just the same bass line through the whole thing. So you kind of basically rap with a little bit of melody on top of the same thing that just plays over and over again.
Yeah. So what inspired you at that time to do this sort of thing then?
I don't even remember because it was too long ago. It's the first record I did, Glamorous Life. I knew some of the stuff that I wanted to record. The second record that I did was on tour while I was on tour during the Purple Rain tour. I would stop, like we had any time. I would stop if I had 6 hours and stop somewhere in the city and go record, and then go right to sound check. And that's how I got the second record done. And then the third record, there's just different things that happen. So during that, the Koo Koo song, I don't even know. I have no idea. I think because I'm hungry, I really can't think right now.
Okay, so if hungry is the word,
It is.
you just said you were fine with taking 2 or 3 participant questions and more
Yes,
later
please.
when we do the session in the
Absolutely.
studio. So participants only, please. Do we have a microphone in circulation? And do we have a question for Miss Sheila Escovedo?
Over there? Oh, forget that. I'll go to him by the time you get over there because I need to eat. I'm just saying. How you doing, sir? I'll come over here. Okay, what's your name?
Pablo,
Pablo.
Yes.
Where are you from, Pablo?
Mexico.
Oh, Mexico. Okay. What's your question?
My question is, given that you're a drummer and you work a lot with drums, how do you construct your song? Do you do a melody and then do drums to follow that melody? Or do you do drum and then a melody to follow that drums? And how do you match them and escape your own drums to build a song?
It's always different when I write a song. A lot of times it doesn't have anything to do with the drums. It's Lionel Richie always told me, if you're going to write a good song, I know he's right here. Why are you pushing me away? No, Lionel Richie told me one time that a good song is a melody and lyrics. It has nothing to do with production, with technology. A good song is a good song, meaning melody and lyrics. So it just depends on what kind of song you want to write. If it's like a dance song, I got to start with drums and a drum machine or the loop or, something. So it depends on what mood I'm in, what I'm going to write. And then just start adding the drums in and making sure that the percussion doesn't get in the way. Or if it's going to be very percussive, put a lot of percussion on it. Okay. Awesome. All right.
Can we take one more?
One more question? Seriously? Way over there? Oh, my God. Okay, you got him. Yeah, you come over here. Come sit by me. No, see, that mic doesn't work.
Hello?
There
we go.
Oh, there you go.
I can sit here if you want. It might be easier.
Spotlight, really?
I'll make this quick because I'm also starving. According to Prince lore or history or mythology or whatever, there was these extended jams before shows and then after shows, and it was kind of music all day long. And when you said just there you used to take any time you could to go to the studio, I'm just wondering if that's true and how intense it was. Were you playing music all of the time?
Yeah, at least 10 hours a day.
Wow.
If we weren't in the studio and we were on tour, we were doing sound check. Sound check was 2 hours. Then the show was about 2.5 hours. Then we go to the hotel to change, and if we could eat real quick, and then go to the after club around 1 or 2 and start jamming till, another 2 or 3 hours, and then go to the next city and do it again.
Do you think back on that time fondly, or was it like...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Are you kidding? I had a blast. I'm not mad at that at all.
Let's eat.
Experience.
Well,
Let's
Thank
eat.
you so much.
I think as a good Irishman, you would like to join me in getting up, and I would like to join everyone, or have everyone join, and thank Miss Sheila Escovedo for playing.